Growing up, I was never really afraid of too many things. Sure, I had seen my fair share of ghost encounters. I can recall some stories that had me pretty frightened. There are seldom times my friends and I sit around and decide to tell stories about what scares us. However, they know there's one I refuse to bring up. One, for some reason, still brings chills at the very mention of it. That being Mr. Wood. I'll explain later why I gave him this title. When I was younger, horror movies and ghost stories and Ouija boards were frequent for myself and my family. Usually the encounters that happened, everyone in the family either knew about it or saw with their own eyes. Not Mr. Wood. He was a different thing altogether. It all started one morning when I got out of the shower. I was walking back outside. Upon drying my hair with a towel, I pulled the towel over my face. As it dropped, I stood there, eyes dead set, heart pounding. This almost numb, eerie feeling came over me, as there was a very tall man standing in front of me. My eyes set, looked from his feet all the way to his top hat. He wore dress shoes and a suit, almost as if he had came from a ball. But the thing that I remember most about Mr. Wood, and the reason I call him Mr. Wood, was because I'll never forget that fucking wooden face of his. It's an image that gives me chills just writing this. Days later, I told my mother what happened, and she thought I was watching too many scary movies. Even my grandmother was skeptical. Thought maybe I had seen someone wearing a suit in the house and replaced the face with a wooden one out of fear. I told her no. He was right next to me, staring at me. Still, the disbelief continued on. I had trouble sleeping after that, and I always felt like somebody was watching me. Looking back on it, I'm pretty sure it was probably Mr. Wood. Was he checking up on me? Protecting me? What did he want? A few months down the line, I recall seeing glances of him in the corners of my eye, especially when I would sit up at the computer. One time, my grandmother, who had probably forgotten about it altogether, called for me as she was at the top of the stairs. I said, "Yes." And she said, "What are you doing?" I replied, "I'm just on the computer." She asked, "Well, who's that with you?" In terror, I slowly turned my head. There he was. Expressionless, carved-out face, same black suit, same top hat. He had a second's notice, moved quickly, very quickly. His face was inches from mine. I ran up the stairs. My grandmother doesn't recall seeing him move, just seeing someone next to me. I told her, "That was him. That was the man I see." She never discredited me or my accounts again. A few years passed since I've seen Mr. Wood. It's summertime. My brother and a friend are deciding to sleep in the living room. I lay my head to rest and wake 30 to 45 minutes later to the sound of my door opening very quickly and the words, "Oh shit, no," coming out of my brother's mouth. I said, "Dude, what the hell is your problem?" He looked pale, eyes almost dilated from fear. He replied, "Me and Javier were laying in a sleeping bag and looked behind us and someone was standing there. He was tall, really tall, and had a suit on with a top hat and a wooden face." My face turned pale, and all the thoughts of seeing Mr. Wood creeped inside my mind once again. It was difficult to sleep. I felt watched. The next day, I walk out of my room and see Mr. Wood in the distance, and I yell for someone. My aunt comes over and asks, "What's going on?" And I said, "Look, he's right there, standing there." She adjusts her eyes and says, "There's nothing there. Calm down." I never took my eyes off of him. He was there in the distance, staring at me, watching me with that expressionless, wooden fucking face. Never said anything. Never approached me. Never did anything. Just watched me. Stared at me. After these encounters, I never saw Mr. Wood again. I've never even ran into anyone who's seen the same thing. Maybe I was delusional at the time, and it was my mind playing tricks on me. Maybe it was a harmful joke played by an adult to get me to act good. Who knows? I'll never know. I just know at times I still feel watched. I still feel like there are eyes staring at me from a distance. And ironically, the place I moved to 4 or 5 years ago had reports of a man always being outside and people feel like they were being watched as they walked by. The same feeling I get when I go out at night to smoke a cigarette.